Hi everyone, so this will be our presentation for computer knowledge
This
section.
presentation is made by Recruit Nathan, Recruit Sanja, and Private Gareth.
So it's really important to learn the evolution of personal computers because personal computers has transformed from bulky, expensive computers to now very sleek design for computers and futuristic. And now it's used for teachers, students, and all workers because it's very convenient and everything.
So this is Apple, and this is the Apple logo. You'll be able to see it on every Apple computer.
So Apple was founded in California by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne, is founder of Apple.
In 1977 to 1984, Apple II made the PCs mainstream, and the GUI and mouse was introduced by Macintosh.
From 1985 to 1996, Steve Jobs left, and Apple struggled with innovations and sales.
So Steve Jobs returned to Apple, launching the iMac G3 and Mac OS X to revive the brand of Apple and make it better.
In 2006 to 2020, Apple switched to Intel chips, and it released the sleek unibody Macs and MacBooks.
Now, the Apple Silicon M1 to M3 chips bring huge performances gains, making Mac leaders in design and speed.
So now let's go into the part of where Apple began. So now we're going to the timeline of Apple's computer. Now it's Apple I. So Apple I was created in the 1976. It was the first computer made by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. It was sold as a fully assembled circuit board, but there's no case, no keyboard or display. There was only about 200 units produced and sold. It was powered by the MOS 6502 processor with 4 KB RAM. It sparked the founding of Apple Computer in cooperatives.
Next, we have the Apple II. This computer was made in 1977, and it was one of the first mass-produced and commercially successful personal computers. It featured color graphics and expandable architecture, and it also had a keyboard, case, and external storage support. It was mostly used for education and business, and it established Apple as a major computer company.
Now we have the Apple III. It was designed as a business-oriented successor to the Apple II. It had improved hardware, but suffered from overheating and reliability issues. It was a commercial failure due to the design flaws. It came in with a built-in disk drive and more RAM, but it was discontinued in 1984 due to poor sales.
And now after that it comes to Apple Lisa. So Apple Lisa was created at the 1983. It was the first personal computer with a special graphic user interface, which is GUI. It was aimed at business, cost over $9,000, and it was introduced with the mouse and a desktop metaphor. It was named after Steve Jobs' daughter, Lisa, and commercially failure unfortunately, but a foundation of Apple.
The next computer is the Macintosh, which was founded in the 1984. It was the first affordable computer with a GUI and mouse. Its famous 1984 Super Bowl ad introduced it. It ran a system software, later called the Mac OS, and it included a 9-inch monochrome screen, and it was more compact and all-in-one. It had the tone set for Apple's user-friendly approach.
Now we have the Apple II GS. It was an advanced version of the Apple II with improved graphics and sound. It was compatible with older Apple II software with a 16-bit processor, faster than earlier models. It had a similar GUI to the Macintosh and was the last and most powerful Apple II series computer.
Now it's time for the Macintosh 2 after Macintosh 1. It was created in the 1987. The first modular Mac separate monitor and CPU, two different parts. It has color display support, very first from Macintosh. Powerful Motorola 68020 processor, and it's good for professionals that needs high performance. Highly expandable with multiple card slots. So it's really good for Macintosh 2.
Next, we have the Power Macintosh 5200. This was made in the 1995 for all-in-one Mac to home and education markets. It used PowerPC processors, which was way faster than the previous 68K chips. It had CRT display built into the unit, and it was more affordable and compact than before. However, it was criticized for performance issues in the later use.
This is the iMac G3. It was designed by John Ive, colorful, translucent design. It was an all-in-one unit with a built-in CRT display. It had no floppy drive, which was bold at the time. It focused on the internet connectivity, the I in the iMac. It was a huge success. It revives Apple's consumer brand.
Now it's time for iMac G4. So iMac G4 was created in the 22. Its island design, screen on a movable arm. You can move it to any direction you want. And with a flat panel LCD display with a white half sphere base. It's very sleek and elegant design, which is called futuristic. It ran with Mac OS X with using G4 PowerPC chips. Very iconic in the design history, but sadly a sales hit.
Then we have the iMac G5. This computer was made in 2004. It was the first iMac with the display and components in just one flat case. It was very sleek and it was white. It was really thin, so it was convenient, and it had a faster performance with G5 processor. It ran the earlier versions of Mac OS X and influenced the iMac unibody designs in the future.
Here we have the iMac Unibody. The aluminum and glass design gave it a sleek modern look. It was an all-in-one with large widescreen displays, 21.5 inch to 27 inch, a powerful SSD and Intel or Apple Silicon chips in later models, and a very thin profile despite internal power. It became the standard design for the iMac line.
And now comes to one of the most important part of our presentation, the iMac. iMac is the latest computer created by Apple. So now we're gonna explain to you iMac step by step of what it is.
Firstly, it has lots of color options, so users who want to buy it can choose between different colors that they prefer that suit them.
There's a large 24-inch 4.5K Retina display, good for people with bad eyes. You don't have to squint on a tiny screen.
And now, also really important, storage, memory, and core CPU. iMac hosts very high storage. From 256 GB can go up to 2 GB, and for memory, it can go up to 16 GB of unified memory. And it also consists of very high core CPU, 8 CPU or 10 CPU. Now, also really important for a computer, keyboard, mouse, and touchpad. So, Apple's keyboard is special, which is American alphabets with the numbers and arrow keys too.
And the Magic Mouse, it was wireless and rechargeable, so it was very convenient, and it had an optimized foot design that lets it glide smoothly across the desk. With multi-touch surface, it allows you to perform simple gestures such as swiping between web pages and scrolling through documents.
Lastly, you have the Magic Touchpad, a slight improvement from the mouse in terms of space needed and movement needed. It's smaller, so, and with a touchpad, you only need one finger to move your mouse around.
Now, we are going to compare Apple's first computer, Apple One, and iMac Unibody, the latest computer. We're gonna see the differences between an old and new computer.
So, Apple One, created in 1976, had an open circuit board, no case, no keyboard or screen. It was called the MOS 6502 at 1 MHz. It didn't have TV or monitor, so the user had to connect their own. And the cassette tape was manual loaded and saved. It had no built-in OS and had to be loaded manually. It cost $666.66 just for the board. It was an AIM design for mostly hobbyists and engineers, and it was the start of Apple and personal computing.
Now for iMac Unibody, started at 29 to now. When it's at 29, it started with ongoing updates. It has a sleek, all-in-one aluminum body with a built-in screen in it. It uses Intel Core or Apple Silicon M1 to M3, so it's basically a multi-core CPU. It has a built-in Retina or 4K to 5K display. The SSD storage is really fast, quiet, and reliable. The Mac OS, graphical, user-friendly, and fully integrated. It costs $1,200 to $2,500 depending on the specs you want. And it's used by general consumers, which is students, workers, or teachers. And its creativity with used by professionals. It's also a modern symbol of Apple designs. From bulky machines filling our rooms to sleek laptops and powerful smartphones, the personal computer has come a long way. Over the decades, it reshaped how we learn, live, and connect us to the world. As technology continues to advance, there is one thing is certain. The evolution of personal computers is far from over the 90s to the now. It's a really important thing and it's worth what we should learn.
So, there are other brands of computers other than Apple, which includes Dell, Samsung, HP, Microsoft, Lenovo, and Acer. So, there are other options other than Apple.
This is the end of our presentation. Thank you
For
for
Thank you
watching and
and listening.
listening.